turns me on. Maybe I'll be scared of it, 'cause it turns me on. Your body heat, I'm turning red. This fantasy inside my head. Girl, you keep me guessing. What is this connection? We're laying on the floor with the same conversation. It's a different night, but the same situation. And I know you look me in the eyes, 'cause you know I'll give in every time. When it comes to you, I got no moderation. Here we go again. I can't pretend that I'm not selfish, 'cause I'm not letting you go. And you're so selfless when you show up at my door. Part of me knows that it's wrong, but all of me can't be alone. So I'm selfish, 'cause I just want you. I want you one more night. 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 I want you to stay, but I don't have a reason. I don't wanna say it, but I know how I'm feeling. And it's hard to hear that we're just friends, 'cause I know I'll call you up again. So I won't say a word, just stare at the ceiling. Here we go again. I can't pretend that I'm not selfish, 'cause I'm not letting you go. And you're so selfless when you show up at my door. Part of me knows that it's wrong, but all of me can't be alone. So I'm selfish, 'cause I just want you. I want you one more night. 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 my disease always seems to follow me. I don't wanna bear this weight. I don't wanna seal my fate. Oh no, oh no. Won't someone save me, please? Because I need a remedy. Too much is never enough. No, it's never enough for me. It keeps breathing me alive. It's the only thing I need to survive. some bad ideas and I can't take them back. I've been down so low, gave me a heart attack. I hope I don't outgrow this phase of burning fast. Never give up, never let go, fade away. Isn't it obvious my love for this life? Giving me such a rush and making me high. How free is your mind? Are your eyes wide open? If you feel like you're falling behind, come along, we're going. How far do you wanna go? How far do you wanna go? How far do you wanna go? I wanna be the star of my own fantasies. Don't want somebody else taking the place of me. I'll always be the girl born from a tragedy. I'll never give up, never let go, fade away. Isn't it obvious my love for this life? Giving me such a rush and making me high. How free is your mind? Are your eyes wide open? If you feel like you're falling behind, come along, we're going. How far do you wanna go? How far do you wanna go? How far do you wanna go? How free is your mind? Are your eyes wide open? If you feel like you're falling behind, come along, we're going. How free is your mind? Are your eyes wide open? If you feel like you're falling behind, come along, we're going. How far do you wanna go? How far do you wanna go?
All right. Hello, everyone. God bless you all who are a part of my kindred people of God. Happy Sabbath to you all. I hope all of you have had a great week. I was not prepared to have anything to show tonight on the screen as far as internet clipping or any of that, so I'm running a slideshow tonight. I'm not going to be able to do a mega long stream tonight, probably a couple, 3 hours at the most, because I do need to get up early in the morning to be with some people. And so I'm hoping for a great Sabbath tomorrow. I'm hoping for a great Sabbath for you all tomorrow. And I figured I would at least get home and start early so I can go to bed early at a decent hour anyway. And that way I can get some rest tonight. I'll be rested for tomorrow to enjoy my day. And but I still wanted to fellowship with you all for a little while to give some encouragement. I know that a lot of negativity has been exposed this week. I was just watching Fleckus Talks a little bit ago, and we've discovered all the sexual predators who were allowed to fly all over the country wherever they wanted with just using, with no ID other than their sexual predator freaking paperwork. And so that's, things like that we're uncovering. Thankfully, a lady sued them and forced American Airlines or sued the FAA or somebody and forced them to release the proof that they were doing that. And of course, there are tons and tons of other things. Lots of white people murdered this week by non-whites. Lots of white people killed this week because of non-white truck drivers and other various drivers of regular vehicles. Multiple white people killed this week because of blacks running from the cops and crashing into innocent people while they were fleeing the cops. On and on it goes, And so I realized that we need, someone to, say what needs to be said, that, white people are frustrated about these things. And it builds up. I realize since we don't really get any white pills, there's really never any good news. And, even back in the day, I know that many of you folks grew up hearing folks older than you saying, well, you know how it goes. No news is good news. Implying that if there is any news, it's always bad. Well, in this case, for us, in this generation, in this era we are in, that pretty much applies perfectly. We rarely ever get good news, if any at all. And it becomes frustrating more and more every day, more and more every week, more and more every year. We don't see any results. We see our world just crumbling in our hands, and we see more and more non-whites just flooding in every day. And so, and now they get to just mock us, laugh in our face as they rob us blind. The Somali fraud gets to continue on totally carefree now after white people and Trump were shamed for going there and trying to, pretending that they were trying to do anything about it. They just, after a little theater, backed out. And now all the Somalians there are free to just carry on with all their fraud as they were. And so, you hear things like Trump threatens to cut $283 million from there. Meanwhile, they're stealing billions. They've actually stolen over $1 trillion from us. And so we're talking over $1,000 billion. These pieces of garbage have stolen from white people already. And so, for Trump to threaten to, which means he hasn't done it, threaten to cut a measly $250 million, which is like one weekend of money they've stolen from us. It's not, there's no win. There is no win. We don't get any wins out of Trump. We don't get any wins out of white people pretty much anywhere. The only wins we really get are ones like, Carrie Prejean, who stood her ground against the Jews, but then was fired immediately for it, But that's a win for us, even though it's a loss, because our wins most often have to be a loss. It has to be that our wins are only these days that white people stood up for themselves, that white people said no and put their freaking foot to the floor and said, no, I'm not doing it, or whatever it is. When we stand our ground, that's like the only wins we seem to get these days. Rarely do we get any kind of proper win. And the only other wins we get are, are small-time things, inconsequential things that could be thought of as an uplifting gold moment, perhaps, but nothing that actually will set the course of our destiny any better in a more correct and proper and decent vector for our people's future. And so, since we're suffering with, all these losses every day, every week, every month, every year, all year long, and it's been year after year after year now of noticing it, it is very frustrating. It is very disheartening. It's hard to keep your faith when, the world is crumbling around us. But remember, this is prophecy. This proves who is who in our Holy Bible. This proves that we are God's chosen people. This proves that we will be saved by Jesus Christ. There's no one else here needing saving. Only white people are under attack worldwide by the Jews and all their billions of non-white bioweapons. So because we are literally the only ones on earth that are always under perpetual attack, all of our countries, you know, you hear some dissenter from that could say, oh, well, what about the Palestinians? Well, we're talking about worldwide. We have countries all over the world, and all of our countries are under attack by the Jews with the billions of non-whites as their bioweapons. So I can say it thoroughly and no problem that we absolutely are the people of the Bible, just based on that alone, not even counting the fact that we are the only race on earth that matches all of God's promises to Abraham, all of God's promises to Israel. We have all of the evidence on our side, and yet white people reject it. Your loved ones, your friends, they outright refuse reality. They outright refuse standard observation. They outright refuse standard evidence, irrefutable evidence. And so that by itself can be maddening for many people who can't get an extremely close loved one to see the obvious truth of the reality of this world. Sometimes that's more frustrating and disheartening for folks than just dealing with all of the bad news we get every day. So, these Sabbath streams are mostly for trying to remind us that all of this war against us, all of this hell brought down upon our people across the entire world, all of this attack we are under proves everything about our Holy Bible. It proves that it's 100% accurate. It proves that it only pertains to us, that it's only meant for us. It proves that since it's meant only for us, that we are the people that it's meant for. We are the people of the Holy Bible. Our ancestors, the book we read, the Holy Bible, is a book of our ancestors. You're reading our ancestors' history, logged in real time, or perhaps after the fact in their later years, or perhaps by someone else who wrote about them and named the book after them. But all of them are our ancestors, one way or another. They all descended from Adam and Eve, and so did we. We are all brethren. That's why we're all called brothers in Christ, because even though I'm not directly related to any of you per se, who, as we think of it nowadays, would be legally related, we are all related by our blood from Adam and Eve. That is our primary father and mother who started all of us off. And so we are all related, brothers and sisters in Christ. And it's not metaphorical. It's not a figure of speech. It's not symbolic. It's literal, racial. It's blood. It's a direct connection to our God. It's the deity that will be given to us. We will be gods eventually. And we are the gods of this earth with the little g. And so once we are brought to eternity to be with our God, he will establish us as little g gods in the new earth, just as he established us here. Only the next time around, there will be no temptation of our white women to tempt them to cheat or to tempt them to teach the children in a wrong way, to tempt them to put their children last, to tempt them to be a dissident of their husband. And for the men, they will not be tempted to do things they're not supposed to do as a godly man, whatever it may be, whether it be about with their woman, so they're not tempted to cheat, so they're not tempted to pull a scheme on another white person in the new earth, or try to rip someone off or get over on another. There will be no murder. There will be no fighting. There will be no pain. There will be no misery. No tears. You know, we're always talking about the No Tears campaign, where all these hoaxes where they can't cry. You know, the mass shootings where it's supposedly a right-wing white guy, and yet nobody can cry. No tears. Well, that's how it'll be for real in heaven. Only it won't be based on a hoax. It'll be because there's no reason for anybody to have tears in heaven. The only tears you would have would be tears of joy. But even those will be non-existent. Our joy will exceed beyond something that will cause us to tear up in the eyes. We will be so flabbergasted all the time. We'll be beyond that level. We'll be too fascinated for our eyes to tear up. We'll be too amazed and too impressed and in awe. So I just wanted to do a stream tonight to give people opportunity to say hello, to give me an opportunity to say hello to you all, and to just remind you all and encourage you all to stay in the fight, hold on to your faith. Things look grim. They're going to look worse and worse for white people. So we're not going to have any major win anytime soon. But this year is the year that we're supposed to do everything. We're supposed to reveal the Jews' true identity this year. We are supposed to, by default, of revealing the Jews' real identity this year. We're also, by default, going to reveal our identity to our own white people this year. Many will reject it, but it will become a thing. It will become a thing spoke about. It will become more of a popular thing on YouTube, like how right now you have Epstein Files is blowing up all over YouTube. White people being true Israel will become a thing on YouTube. We've tried to make it a thing on YouTube for over a decade, and my channel I've tried for the last 7 years, but it will finally happen. Just like how we used to dream, like now there's so many channels with title having the word Jews in it, or Jewish in it, or Zionism in it, and all this. 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, we could only dream of being able to have titles like that openly about the Jews on YouTube. Those would have been deleted immediately. They wouldn't have even uploaded. And so that's why, if y'all recall, some of the last videos I uploaded them without a title. And so they were just showing up first thing for the first noticers who saw them and clicked on it. They would notice the title would just say the date as the title. It wouldn't actually say a title. And the reason why is because if I titled it the way I wanted to, having the word Jews in it or Jewish in it or whatever thing I was talking about on that subject matter of that video, the YouTube employees would just strike it before it ever finished uploading. And so I discovered that if I went ahead and let the video upload with no title, it would stick. And after I got about 30 or 40 or 50 views built up, then I would go ahead and go in and edit it and add a title. And I could put the title I wanted to and everything, and it would stick. It wouldn't get caught. YouTube wouldn't flag. YouTube wouldn't flag it. Sorry, I'm like hiccuping here. And so, you know, it was a slick way of getting around them at the time. But now, here we are, years later, and we have this, well, really, it's only been a year since I posted videos, but here we is a year later, and now everyone, for months and months now, has been putting Jews in the title, Jews in their thumbnail, Jewish in their thumbnail, Jewish in the title, Zionism in the title. And they're all sticking. They're all getting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views. We have some of the biggest YouTubers possible on our side now, investigating the Jews, investigating Epstein files, investigating all of the things that we would have loved to have had them back in 2016 or 2014 or any of the other times when we were arguing the other things out. We would love to have had those big YouTubers back then pushing our info to all the normies. And now we do. You know, we have everybody from Ian Carroll and Whitney Webb and Asmongold and LP of all people. Hypocrite. No, I don't want to mean of all people as though he was never going to be based. He's been one of the most based people so far of the major YouTubers, and he's the one who became based first. So, much love for LP. God bless him. Hypocrite channel, God bless that channel. I hope he just keeps on trucking, man. He's doing great. And we have Longo. You know, Longo reached lots of people with his Florida being the Garden of Eden, which is correct. The United States is where God placed white man. So the United States, anytime somebody tries to tell you that this belonged to the Indians or Ron stole the land, is absolutely not true. God chose the United States of America, before it was ever called that, to place white man for the first time, to start off this entire world, this entire 6,000-year trial. And so the Garden of Eden was our first land. It wasn't a promised land. It was just where God placed us first. And because of this, the sin our ancestors committed, Adam and Eve committed, they were banished from the garden. But they lived out their lives still there. And the old world, the original Garden of Eden, this land of the United States, became desolate because over time, after they died, all their sons and daughters, they built up cities here, they built up stuff here, but they became corrupt. And so Noah's flood had to come. God flooded the world to erase the world of all of those mongrels and all of those giants. And they lived, like I've told people before, they lived much further below us. So the giants could only dwell where we think of now as the ocean floor. That was all dry. There were no oceans before Noah's flood. There were only small seas, small bodies of water that were landlocked. They were not these world-covering areas. And so the ocean floor has a much higher column of air between the top of the dome and where the giants would have dwelled on the ocean floor when it wasn't an ocean. And so that is how those humongous bodies, huge bodies like giants and all those things, huge trees, huge whatever, all of that could exist on the ocean floor where we think of as the ocean floor now. But at this altitude that we are all at, that we call, well, we're above sea level, but sea level is our reference, okay? And so what the world, what America calls sea level now, is actually the high plains. All right, the shape of the United States as we know it now is the shape of the high plains that would have been back then. What the Garden of Eden was the high plains. And so giants, that's why when you have went caving through mountains or any of that, you've never seen any giant's bones sticking out of the walls, embedded in the walls after the flood or any of that stuff, because the giants dwelled where we think of now as the ocean floor, an entire mile or two down, some 7 miles down in the deepest places, but, you know, a mile or 2 or 3 further below even what we call nowadays as sea level. So imagine if you live at, say, 3,500 feet. Imagine you live at 3,500 feet elevation, but then there's another 30,000 feet below that where the giants lived all over the world. And so white people, or people I should say, could go, which only means white people, but that's why I was meaning it wasn't necessary for me to say white people. people could go that far down into the earth and it wouldn't bother us. And that's because it was all wide open. It wasn't underground. It was wide open. So you just had a higher concentration of oxygen. In fact, any of our people who would have lived down there way below what we call sea level now would have had larger children. Even if they didn't mate with one of those giants, they would still have bigger children. They would live longer. They would be healthier, regardless of what they, regardless of how lazy their lifestyle would have been, which would not have been the case because nobody could be lazy until the 20th century. So we did have a completely different world before that, and I don't want to get too off on that tangent. The whole bottom line point of it all was the United States of America is white people's first and original God-given land, and he gave it back to us. He came full circle with us, like Jen Psaki style, and brought us back to the United States. And so this is our country again. And so it's just great that we have all these big YouTubers on our side now, including Longo, and they have helped us push what we've been trying to push onto the normies for, almost a decade. Now they're really doing it for us. And even other like fence sitters and normie YouTubers and stuff have also taken on these the Epstein files and started being concerned about all the stuff that's going on. So things are getting better for us without us really realizing it, because we take so many negative hits every day of the news, people dying of ours by non-whites every day, finding out more and more non-whites are here every day than white people really thought, which is why I've been trying to explain to everyone that there are not 60 million illegals here, any of that crap. That dupes white people into thinking illegals. Non-whites default to thinking, 60 million non-whites are here. Right? That's not what they were told, but they default that in their brain, and they forget about the blacks that are born and raised here. They forget about all the, spics that are born and raised here now, several generations. They forget about all that, and all of them total up to 240 million non-whites in our country. All right? They're not admitting to you the real numbers. They're happy to tell you that America has 350 million people in it, but what they're not telling you is, by the way, white people are only down to 80 million people here now. Yeah, that's right. We killed 20 million of your elders during COVID hoax, and we killed another 20 million of your white people not in the elderly homes with the vaccines themselves. So between the ventilators at the elderly homes killing 20 million of your people, and between us taking out 20 million of your people with the vaccine, we now have, and of course the summer of love got rid of probably 500,000 white people without us knowing. And so add it all up, and we're down to, from 120 million or whatever, we're down to about 80. And meanwhile, there are 240 million non-whites here. So when you add the numbers up, wouldn't you know, you get about 350, 360, 370 million people, which is about right. Don't you see brand new neighborhoods being built all around you? Are not the Save the Trees liberals happy to mow down an entire fucking forest that's been there for 2,000 years to clear it for a brand new neighborhood to fill it with darkies? They're building apartment complex after apartment complex after apartment complex here, all while they're celebrating white people's decline. Who the hell do you think they're building all this shit for? They're building it for the 1 billion more non-whites that they plan on bringing here, that I already warned y'all over and over and over and over again on every single stream since the very first one, that they plan on bringing here. They plan on bringing over 1 billion. They plan on having more than 1 billion non-whites in the United States of America. You think a house costs a lot right now? You think it's impossible for you to buy a house right now? You think it's impossible almost for you to get a job right now or keep it without being demanded to train a bunch of non-white replacements that are going to replace you as soon as the company feels like it once you've got them trained? You think all that's bad now? You haven't seen shit yet. Wait till the other 680 million of them show up here. And really, it's going to be more than that. They're going to bring 1 billion more here. This could all be stopped, by the way, if all of us white people would rise up, if enough of us would uncuck enough of our white people that we know. And what happens instead is our normies are so cucked, they're so fucked in the head, they're so mentally damaged and brainwashed that you can give them all the evidence in the world. And you can even corner them with questions like, okay, white people are only 7% of the world's whole population. How many non-whites do we have to let into America before you finally say that's enough? That's too many now. We have too many. How many non-whites in our country is too many? And they'll say, there is no amount that's too many. And there you go. You can't reason with someone like that. If they say there is no amount that isn't too much, that's too much or whatever, that's it. You can't reason with them. They have no logic in their minds. There is no way to reason with them. They're basically like a dumb animal. And that sucks if it's your family member or your friend or your whoever. But the bottom line is, if they cannot reason in their mind that you can only take in so many non-whites before you're overwhelmed by them, and then they only pick their own race all the time for everything, their own religion all the time for everything, you can only allow so much of that into your world before you're fucked. And so it is, I understand, completely frustrating for so many of you, for all of us, I would say. And so we need to be able to vent. We need to have a pressure relief valve. And that's what this stream is for on Sabbaths, is to remind you all that you are not alone. You are not crazy. You are not the one who's in the wrong. You are not going by some opinion of your own. Everything that we are observing is standard observation. As plain a day as the sun is in the sky during the daytime. As plain of reality as clouds are in the sky floating above us every day. As plain as the moon's going to be above you at night. As plainly obvious as you get in a car and you're driving on a road and you're really in a car and you're really on a road. It's standard reality. And they completely refuse to accept it. You could show them article after article, Jew quote after Jew quote. You could show them books the Jews have written bragging about what they're doing to us. You could show them the protocols of Zion. You could show them the Kalergi plan. You could show them the 1952 Budapest speech by Rabbi Emanuel Rabinovich. You can show them everything you want till they're blue in the face. And they will just flat refuse all of it. And at some point you go, fuck you then. Fuck you then. If you're going to be such a fucking bullheaded piece of shit that you're just going to refuse to admit you're fucking wrong, refuse to admit that white people should have our own countries to our own selves as we created them and as they were intended to be, while they have no problem with all the brownoid countries getting to enjoy their own country just for their own kind, fully racist, as they call us, fully ethnocentric for only themselves, unapologetically only for themselves, ethno-nationalists for their own country, while they're in a white country, stealing all of our fucking money, stealing a fucking job from white people or multiple ones. But we're supposed to be the ones who don't notice, or if we do notice, better not say anything, or we're the piece of shit. We're the fucking criminal. We're the problem. We're the crazy person. No, sir. Not the case. And the thing is, as you've heard the old saying a million times, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. That's really true. Some fucking horses will refuse to drink, period. And those horses sometimes are your own closest friends, your own longest term people you've known acquaintance-wise, your own family members. Even ones that are very, very tight with you. But we have to take a stand. This is it. This is our year, y'all. If we fail our God on this year, starting in April 1st, then we don't deserve to be saved. We don't deserve it. We already don't deserve it. But we're going to etch it in stone that we don't deserve it. If by April 1st, 2027, we have not accomplished God's prophecy of the first year of Jacob's trouble. And we have to do it, not the Jews do it themselves because white people are too cucked pussies to do it. It could absolutely go down that way, and it will, if we don't take on the responsibility and lead the prophecy ourselves. Think about all these cucked Christians that pay. I'm sure many of you have heard of this or know of a Christian who paid toward this before. The Jews have our Christian churches, not all of them, but many of them, thousands of them all over the country, cucked into paying into a charity directly in the Jews' pocket for them to just do whatever they want with. But the charity, the white people who donate to it foolishly, think it's going toward paying for the third temple to be rebuilt. Meanwhile, Jews have just been taking people's money and taking people's money and taking people's money for 100 years, and they've never bothered trying to build the third temple, so you think. So all those sucker white people should be standing around going, hey, wait a minute. Haven't we been donating to y'all for like 50 or 60 or 70 years now for y'all to get this third temple built? Where the fuck is all that money went? Why have you not even put up scaffolding and began anything rebuilding the third temple? And of course, they could blame the Muslim occupation all that time, whatever. Jews have had control of that shit since they've been there. They claim, oh, the Muslims have control of Jerusalem. Bullshit. Jews have control everywhere they end up, especially over some dumbass brownoids like Arabs. So they've been in charge all these decades down there or over there. And they've been taking donations of millions of dollars a year from all these churches collectively in Europe and in America, paying toward this fund that's supposedly going to rebuild the third temple. Fuck, they could have rebuilt the third temple 3 times already. And so what's really been going on is they've just pocketed the money like they do with all charities that they have. And they probably have built the third temple, but it's underground so that white people don't know that it's been built. If white people knew it was built, they would start celebrating Christ's return any moment. And white people are funny about Christ's return. Some white people, a lot of white people, won't do anything, won't lift a finger to help white people or our country because in their mind, they're like, Christ will be here any old moment. So all the ones who think Christ is going to come any moment, right? That there's no deadline that you could ever know about. That he's just going to surprise you suddenly. Here he's going to be suddenly any moment now. He could pop up tomorrow. He could pop up tonight. He could pop up next week. And so you would think that would keep those types who think that way, very vigilant and diligent with about the Lord and about his message and about, his way that he expects of us. But nope. Instead, what do? They kick their feet up and go, God's going to take care of everything. Don't worry about it. Here soon, eventually, who knows when, but eventually, Christ is going to show up here any old minute, and he's going to set everything right. And so those types will never lift a finger to help white people or never lift a finger to help save our country. Then there's the other types who think that Christ is, going to be coming, but a long time from now, but they still don't know when, but they just know it's going to be a long time from now. And so they, funny enough, actually have more concern about when Christ is going to return than the ones who say he could be here any moment. He might pop up in an hour. He may be here in 5 minutes. He may be here tomorrow. Those are always the ones who are the least diligent about the Lord, about worrying about what his word says and whether we should be obeying whether we're obeying what he expects of us and all these things. And then you have the ones like me who are explaining to people that no, our Holy Bible, including Jesus Christ, told us how to know when he was going to come by reading the signs in the heavens. And so that's what we do. And according to that, and according to the exact timeline of things as God laid everything out in 2,000-year increments, the year 2033 should be the year that Christ arrives. And it isn't only going on the adding 2,000 exact years to the 33 AD date. It's also coupled with the fact that that will be the 70th Jubilee of blood moons and eclipses since Christ's sacrifice. So that's that. You add those two together and you have a concrete, solid proof. It's solid, The chances of all of that aligning perfectly are impossible unless it's perfectly divine, like it is. And so that's why it's so critical for us to actually care what our Holy Bible says and not to be interpreting it. All right, you got all these cucks that are trying to interpret it. That's not what it's for. You've never read any other book, any kind of book of facts or even a fictional story. You've never read any of those. And along the way, all through the book, told yourself, oh, well, I need to interpret what this means, this sentence. They went into the, hot dog joint and got lunch. I need to interpret that. I need to figure out if I interpret this, what could this actually mean? Surely it doesn't mean they went into a hot dog joint and had lunch. No, it's got to mean I need to be able to interpret this in some way. No. Our Holy Bible is not meant to be interpreted one way or another. Okay, that's stupid. If that was the case, it wouldn't be worth a dog shit for an instruction manual. An instruction manual is an instruction manual. You don't interpret an instruction manual. A history book, a genealogy book is not something you interpret. You read it, and what it says is matter of fact. It's documented fact. That doesn't mean that there aren't books that are fiction or that don't have lies written in them, but our Holy Bible is not either of those things. Our Holy Bible is a book of facts, historical facts, genealogical facts, and facts prophesying that will come in the future, which is now. We literally live in the exact times that the Holy Bible was warning us would come again. We did have these times in the past. That's true. During Christ's time, when the New Testament was written about all those at that time frame, they dealt with a lot of those same things. But they had not been through the 6,000 years of man's trial yet. Christ came at the 4,000-year mark, and now it's been 2,000 years since Christ gave his sacrifice. So we are at the cusp of the end of white man's trial on the earth. And once the trial is complete, all of the earth will be destroyed, and all that's in it will be destroyed. And we will have been scooped away before that happens, and we will come back to watch it happen, but we will not be caught up in it. And so it's very, very, very critical that you help us at every expense you have to, all right? And, obviously don't make yourself go broke or homeless, and don't take from your own children, but also do what you can, all right, to be explaining to people all year long that Jews are not Israelites. Jews are not Israelites. It needs to be burned into your soul where it just flows out of your mouth, flows off your thumbs onto your phone in the comment section, flows out of your mind and through your thumbs onto your phone in your X posts or your Facebook or whatever other, platforms you may be on, Odyssey, Rumble, whatever. You really gotta do it that way. And so we gotta have help. This is the year. This is white people's year. And for the next 3.5 years, these are our years. And so it's our job, our duty as God's people to impose his prophecy onto the world. Now, like I was saying earlier, and didn't really finish saying, but I was getting to it, was the cucked white people of ours have been duped into thinking that they're helping do that whenever they pay the Jews to that charity, thinking that they're helping the third temple get built. They think that by helping the Jews build their third temple, it's not theirs, but build the third temple, that Jesus will return. But what they're forgetting is that Jesus warned you, and warned all of us, that when the third temple is built, it's not Jesus who comes. The man of perdition will declare that he is God, and he will end the sacrifices happening in the temple up to that point. And he will sit on the throne in the temple and declare himself as God. And the bulk of the world is going to follow him. Okay? And that, I realize Trump has a lot of people who hate him, right? And so it looks like Trump won't be the guy. But it will be. It will be. Our Holy Bible, remember, you're not supposed to interpret it. And what does it say the Antichrist will be? A bad dawn. A bad dawn. Abaddon, but it's a bad dawn. And people would see the name Dawn in that and say, oh, it means a bad king because Dawn means king, right? But that's, again, you're interpreting if you do that. Our Holy Bible is not meant to interpret. So what does it say? It says a bad dawn. A guy named Dawn who's bad. That's what it means. Exactly what it says. And so this guy named Dawn who is bad is going to sit in the seat. Who else do you know has called himself the chosen one on live TV? Who else do you know has the colors of Jesus Christ and is the most powerful person in the world? Who else do you know has hubris the size of the state of Texas? Who do you know, other than Trump or a Jew, who would actually sit in the temple after it's built and sit in the throne and declare themselves as God? By the way, Trump just said again the other day that he's not going to heaven, that he knows he's not going to heaven. This means Trump knows who he is. He knows what he's done. He knows that he's renounced Jesus Christ to sell his soul to Judaism. And the thing is, once you're invited into the big club, the first thing you're told is, well, you're going to hell now. So live it up to the max while you're here. Do all the coke you want. Do all the heroin you want. Fuck all the girls you want. Fuck all the guys you want. Fuck all the little kids you want. Fuck all the babies you want. Drink blood, eat poop, do every freaking thing you can possibly do. Because this is all you get. But you get to have lots of money. You get to have a lot of white people fawning over you that are normies who don't know any better. You get to have all the drugs and the partying and the physical pleasure you could possibly ever dream of, in this mortal life anyway, that money can buy. But this is all you're going to get. No eternal life for you, because the only people who go to heaven are the meek. And people think that meek means poor. You know, the blacks love to use that. Oh, only the meek will inherit the kingdom of God. And we're the meek. We're all po and shit. No. It's not how it works. Meek doesn't mean poor. Meek means you're obedient. You're humble. You're not a bragger like Trump. You don't have this mega big head hubris like Trump. You can have all the money you want, but you'd have to be humble. You have to be meek. You don't want to be out, trying to take other people's stuff like, oh, Venezuela, Israel needs that oil. We're going to have to attack Venezuela for their oil. That's not meek. That's not how meek people operate. You could be a billionaire and not ever seek to steal other country's oil for Israel. You know what I mean? You could be a billionaire and not have a huge head and have massive hubris. You could be humble and be a billionaire. I've known some. Well, let me not say billionaire. I haven't known any billionaires. But I've known quite a few millionaires. And not just because they have 1 million point something million dollars in their bank. No, like millionaires that have many millions of dollars. I've known a lot of them. And probably 80% of them were not meek, But there were 20% of them who are humble, who love God, who give God all the glory and all the thanks for their good life they have. And you're allowed to have a good life in this world, but you have to give God and Jesus Christ and the Holy Ghost all the glory. And you have to give them all the thanks. And where people fail is when they're blessed to have such a high blessing in the world, a high mortal blessing, they don't give thanks for it. Think of all the men who were born blonde, but then they don't give thanks to God for being born the colors of Jesus Christ, and they go bald in their 30s or 40s. There are so many things to be grateful for. Like I say, I do my Sabbath prayer while the music is running before I start the streams. When I have the music running, I'm off doing my Sabbath prayer. And I itemize it, and I thank the Lord for every single thing. Everything that comes to mind, everything that I can think of, that I would be distraught if I had it taken from me. Whether it's my health, my appearance, the colors of Jesus Christ I was born, my home, my income, my transportation, my family members, where I've been placed in the world, when I've been placed in the world in this 6,000-year trial. You could have been placed in the 1400s in Baghdad. Instead, we all get to enjoy one of our white countries, whether you're listening in from overseas in Europe somewhere, or Australia, or New Zealand, or Canada, or Russia, or the United States. You are blessed to live in a white country. You're blessed to be born white, part of God's covenant people, his special creation. You're an Adamite, a descendant of Adam and Eve, a descendant of Noah, and only white people descend from Noah. And so you already have this huge blessing, this super high calling, this super high election. And so it's your responsibility to be grateful and give your thanks every Sabbath in itemized, detailed form. And for the terrible things that you've had to suffer, at least thank the Lord for blessing you with the strength to power through them. Like they say, life goes on, right? Well, it's true, it does. But that doesn't mean your life gets to keep going on as normal. And so you have to heal, you have to adapt. Sometimes you have to completely change your MO about everything in life that you do. I forget the lady's name, but there's this YouTube lady who, she's a farm girl. And so all her videos, her whole YouTube channel is about her being on the farm. And she first started becoming kind of popular doing ice plunges after her husband died. Her husband and her had the farm together. And can't remember the name of it right now, but she's a lovely lady in her 40s or 30s. And sorry if I overestimated her there, if she ever hears this. Beautiful lady, and her husband died on her suddenly. And she was really stricken with grief, and she started doing ice baths. She would fill up this tub every morning with, and fill it with ice water, and she'd, show herself in her bikini, which got a lot of people watching her because she has a nice figure. And then she'd hop in the ice bath and sit there and deal with it. And she was doing that to try to cope with the loss of her husband. And I felt terrible for her, watching her having to do stuff like that just to try to, adapt and heal and adjust herself to not having the love of her life anymore. And since then, she has eventually met herself another guy who's been real nice to her, and she's taken to him quite well in just the last few weeks, it seems. And so she is starting to slowly heal and move on with life as best she can. And God bless her, and I feel terrible for her situation with that, as well as with Deb of Christ and all these people who've lost loved ones, husbands particularly. Such a tragedy, and I'm so heartfelt for all of them. I have a heavy heart for all of them. It's a thing that a lot of people, that most people don't have to go through, and so it's just there's nothing anybody can say or do to make things better. And so what has to happen is we have to just be around and be there for them and encourage them and remind them that, we're going to see all of our folks again. If I didn't think that Jesus Christ was coming to save us, I wouldn't bother doing any of this channel. My channel, if I was on YouTube, it'd be a car channel. And I'd be showing my stupid cars I like, and I'd be doing, just nonsense YouTubing. Hobby YouTubing, some other thing that I like. I do this channel because I care about our people, and I care about our holy God. And I want things set back right for our children. And for our children's children. And mostly, though, first and foremost, I want everything set back right for our God, who created all of this that we enjoy. I want it restored back. I want it resituated back the way he intends things to be. And until things are restored to the way he intends them to be, our job is to fight like hell to get it back to that state. And especially in the next 3 years, this is our 3 years to really press and go as hard as we can. We have 3.5 years starting April 1st, y'all. So let's get a running start at it. Let's use this month right now of March to push and push and push. Remember, the Lord said that these 3.5 years are going to be labor pains. They're going to hurt a little bit. We're going to have to sacrifice a little bit. Even though we've already been losing and losing and losing and losing everything, we're going to have to actually sacrifice on top of that. I have taken a pay cut to move to a different part of my industry where I can avoid non-whites. And I did so to teach the department a lesson who was trying to force brownoids into my department. I'm the only one they can trust in that department. And now they've lost me from that department and they're shitting themselves because the brownoids they were trying to bring in, I refused to train. So none of them know how to do anything. And then I up and moved on them. So now they're tripping and they don't know what to do. And they're too proud to call me and admit they're wrong and ask for me to come back there. So I've already bounced and moved on. And the Lord even blessed me to move to a much better situation where I have taken a pay cut, but the situation is better. I'm working with all white people again. I have no brownoids imposed on me. No, oh, hey, here's, Enrico, I'll just hang out over here with Don. He'll show you what he's up to. You can just watch what he's doing. Nope. And I would tell him, nope. I don't train anyone. And they would say, oh, no, you don't really, it's not like training, but he can just shadow. You can just stand around and watch what you're up to. Nope. Nobody watches what I'm up to. This is a career. This is an industry. And I'm not training anyone. If you don't belong here, then you don't belong here. Period. Dot. Send him out the building. Send him home. He doesn't belong here. And so I stood my ground. Now, granted, some people would just be fired for standing their ground, but I was in a situation where I knew that I wasn't replaceable. And now the whole mantra, oh, everybody's replaceable. Well, in my situation, I wasn't. And so right now they are struggling. They're shitting themselves. And this is more than once that I've done this, by the way. I did several years for a place before that as soon as they started that bullshit, bringing in brownoids, bringing in blacks, trying to get me to train them, I was like, no, I'm not training a single fucking non-white, period. You want real workers here, you bring white people here, and I'll train white people. But I'm not training anything but white people. And so, they basically just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't agree. And so I bounced on them. And then I came back a month later, and the freaking head honcho of the whole operation, who normally stays hidden in his office where no one ever sees him, and he sits back there and looks at titties all day on the internet or whatever. That's what I joke about. I don't know what he's really up to. But he sits back there all day in his office, completely hidden from the public, completely hidden from his own employees even. And when I came back a month later, he was sitting at the front counter having to run the place because I wasn't there anymore, because I ran the whole place for him. And I told him, I'll keep running your whole place for you, but don't be hiring non-whites. You hire a non-white, I'm out of here. And we had multiple white guys come in and apply. I was like, yep, take him. Yep, take him. Any white guy, I didn't give a fuck who it was. Yep, take him. Homeless bum-looking white guy? Yep, take him. Some clean-cut fucking Puerto Rican comes in? Nope. Some homeless bum white guy comes in? Take him. Why? Because we're tribed up. I'm not playing games anymore, and I haven't been for a long time with my job. I already saw the writing on the wall years and years ago when it comes to jobs. In fact, I even left another job before that, like over a decade ago. I worked for a place for a long time, a good 8 years. And it's a very large company, a very famous, very powerful company. And I started noticing in all the back of house areas where the customers couldn't go, they started putting signs up all over the place. Celebrate diversity. Celebrate diversity. We didn't even have any fucking diversity there. And I'm like, what are these fucking stupid ass signs? I started asking around, other employees and stuff. I'm like, who the fuck put up these dumbass signs, celebrate diversity? We don't even have anything but crackers here, so why are we celebrating diversity bullshit? And wouldn't you know, it was because 3 months go by and they start introducing 2 non-whites at a time, 2 new hires at a time, 2 more non-whites, 2 more non-whites. Every couple of weeks, we'd get a couple of new non-whites just suddenly. And before I knew it, I had a sea of black hair around me. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on at this place all of a sudden? Who the fuck took this place over and started hiring nothing but fucking third worlders? And so I got real mouthy about it at that point. Once I started seeing after like the 6th pair or the 3rd pair had been hired, and suddenly I had 6 fucking Puerto Ricans and blacks working with me, I'm like, hold on, what is this bullshit? And so I started getting mouthy with the upper management about it, and I refused to train any of them and all that shit. Some of them didn't need training. Some of them had actually done that type of work already because some other idiot had trained them. But I was like, nope, not going to be training anyone. I'm not even going to be in charge of these motherfuckers. I'm out of here. And I gave them a couple of weeks to remove all the non-whites from my crew, and they refused, so I left. That's it. I hunted down a different place to go, and I was gone. And it takes that kind of resilience. You have to have that much resolve. You can't just cosplay that you're pro-white and tribed up on the internet, and then in your real life, you cuck and pussy out. You have to stand your ground all the time, whether it's real life or the internet. I realize it's super easy on the internet, but you have to stand your ground and be based in real life when it matters. And that's what this channel is for, is to encourage and impress upon all of you to stand your ground when it matters. It doesn't make a fuck when you're online, in a chat, things like that, arguing with people. All of that does matter. I'm asking y'all to help by doing that, but that's not the point of what we're talking about in this case. I'm talking about compared to real life, where suddenly you're faced face to face with the opposition of diversity in your face. And you're being told, train this Negroid, train this brownie, train this fucking Indian. Train this invader who just broke through the window of your front of your house and now is standing in your living room right in front of you. Train him how to enjoy your house. Show him where your fridge is. Show him where your stove is. Show him where your daughter's bedroom is. Just train him on how to do your job. That's all. You got to stand your freaking ground. You walk in a place, nothing but a sea of niggers in a place, you turn around and walk right back out. Turn around and walk right back out. Who gives a shit what any of them thought of you? They already hate your guts and wish you were dead. Any one of them might be the one that would kill you while you're standing in the place. You walk in, you see niggas everywhere, you turn the fuck around and leave. You and a white person standing at an elevator in a parking garage, the elevator door is open, and there's blacks inside or a black inside, and he doesn't get out of the elevator even though he should be getting out. Now all of a sudden he wants to stay in the elevator and ride up with you? Nope. Nope. Take the stairs. I know some of y'all probably saw that video of that high school girl recently who was caught on film on a cell phone or whatever, refusing to get in an elevator because there was blacks in the elevator. And they weren't getting out of the elevator. They were already in the elevator. Elevator showed up to their floor, which was the ground floor. That's where anybody that's been rode the elevator down is supposed to be getting off. Instead, they stayed inside the elevator. One of the white girls, like a stupid ass, steps right in it. The other white girl that was with her is like, nope. Or it was actually two white girls that stepped right on in. But the third white girl was like, nope, I'll wait. And they all started talking shit. Like, oh, what's the problem? Blah, blah. She want to get in here because we're black? Yes, motherfucker. She don't want to get in there because you're black. She knows better because she's smarter than Irina Zarutska was. She's less brainwashed, less cucked than Irina Zarutska was. She's not trying to get raped and stabbed and chopped up in pieces afterward and thrown in a dumpster. She quite likes her life and feels like living a bunch more years of it. In peace and tranquility and happiness, hopefully. So she's going to skip that elevator ride with the nigs up it to prove she's not a scary R word. So that she lives for years and years more to enjoy her life. That's being based. That's applying your knowledge in the real world. So many pro-white people, after all they read online and all the frustration and discouragement they get from seeing all these white people murdered by blacks and by non-whites in particular and all this shit, when faced with that situation where the elevator drops to the bottom floor, door opens, nigs are in it, and for some mysterious reason they don't want to get out, some pro-white people online would get in the fucking elevator with them. Wow, you know? Unbelievable. So, imagine if some of our own uncucked, we think, and so they think, white people, pro-white ones online, that are typically a really great noticer when it comes to online stuff. They notice commercials. They notice the calorie plan in commercials. They notice this. They notice that. And they would notice the nigs in the elevator, not getting out of the elevator, wanting to ride back up with you. But they'll get in anyway. Like a dumb normie would. So it's not enough to be pro-white online. It's not enough to be based online. You have to be based in real life. One day, some Puerto Ricans were talking at the old job I was at. I think they were Puerto Ricans or they were Mexicans, one or the other. And they were going on and talking about how great their country was, how the food was awesome, how they do this festival on the weekend and whatever there. And I listened to them with their bullshit for a little while. They weren't talking to me. They were talking to each other, reminiscing about home. And I sat there doing my thing while they were behind me talking, listening to their bullshit. And after a while, they kind of turned to me like they wanted me to chime in about how awesome their fucking country was. I guess is what they expected me to say. I don't know. But what I said was, wow, y'all sure talk pretty good about the place when you hate it. Don't y'all hate that place? Isn't that why you left? And they go, no, we just no work there. The government, the cartels, blah, blah, blah. I go, yeah, right. Y'all hate that place. All you're talking about is that place, but y'all hate that place. If y'all love that place, that's where you'd be. You wouldn't have flown thousands of miles away to escape it. You hate that place. That's like reminiscing about being in prison. And they were like stuck. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to respond because they've never had anything but white people go, oh, it must be so pretty there. Oh, I've heard it's so beautiful there. They go along with all their horse shit, you know, while they sit there and talk up their own country, how great it is, how great the food is, how beautiful the scenery is, the water's so clear. You can see your toes in the water. You go up to waist deep water, you can see your toes in the sand. And they're so used to hearing white people say back, oh, yeah, me and my wife want to go down there, you know. Oh, yeah, we went down there back in 2003. Man, freaking so beautiful down there, you know. And just flatter up their fucking shithole third world that they fucking escaped. So when someone like me is like, yeah, right, you guys hate that place. Listen to you talking about it like you like it. Y'all hate that fucking place. They went, what? No, we don't. Like, sure you do. Listen at y'all fucking talking like you like that place. Man, y'all flew thousands of miles to abandon that place. That's how you interact with non-whites in the real world. You don't dick around with all this horse shit fucking allow them to flatter up their own country while they're fucking standing in yours. Taking a job away from your own white people. Stealing your own tax money every fucking week, every month. Because don't think that because they get a job that they don't get to keep all the fucking free money. They get to keep all of it. As if they're an illegal. And it don't matter if they were born and raised here. 3 generations of the shitholers here. As soon as they turn 18, they can sign their name and get $1 million free loan. No financial collateral like you have to have, white man. No credit, perfect credit like you have to have, white man. No LLC account separate in another bank already established with 10% of what you're asking of the loan already set aside that can't be touched to secure the loan like you have to have, white man. No inspections and approval and bureaucracy that like you have to go through, white man. No all kinds of checks and regulations. And $10,000 a day per violation like you have to have, white man. No, a third worlder, once they turn 18, can just sign their fucking name and get a free business loan. Give me my Hellcat LLC. And they're just given free money to then do whatever the fuck they want with. They don't even have to prove that they're going to have a business. You realize not only all those other things I listed before they don't have to have that you have to have, white person. But guess what else you have to have that they don't have to have? You have to have a business model. You have to already have a complete business model to show what you're going to do with every red cent of that money before you ever get it. You have to say, look, with this $1 million I'm asking you for, I'm going to spend $300,000 on this, and it's from this company, and this company is legit. Here is their EIN number. Here is this and that about them. And $100,000 of it I have to spend on this with this company. And the reason I have to spend this amount with this company and this amount with this company and this amount with this company and da-da-da is because I need this equipment to go in the location to be able to do this particular job of industry that I want my business to be able to do. And then after all of that, the Jews can just say denied. and not give you the permit, not give you the license, tell you, sorry, that zone you're in, we don't allow that type of industry work in that zone you're in. That's too close to residential. That's too close to the little birds that live in the trees over there. We're going to level that forest eventually and put an apartment complex there full of darkies. But in the meantime, there are some little finches that live in those trees right there. You can't have your industry there. Too close to the railroad tracks. Can't have your business there. But guess what the Indians can do? As soon as an Indian lands on the fucking shore of America at an airport, they can walk in their sandals right over to the Small Business Loan Association, sign their name, and they're given $1 million. Boom. Just here you go, Indian. Good luck with your gas station, wherever you set one up at, or your Dairy Queen. It's the other thing they like to buy. And good luck with that. Enjoy it. Don't worry about inspections or collateral or a different bank account set up with 10% of it that you're asking for already secured in it. And I don't even worry about none of that shit. Just, here you go, $1 million, Indian. Go enjoy your day. Oh, you need a contract to sell liquor in that county, and you want to sell gasoline, so you've got to have all the approvals and permissions and license and certifications and all the stuff to be able to handle explosive, deadly, flammable gas on your property. Sure, no problem, Indian. Just fucking do it up. We ain't going to worry about quizzing you out, man. We only worry about stressing the white guy about all his movements. But you're a brownie, so you just do whatever the hell you please. That's the shit we're up against in our own country. And so I realize that it's super frustrating. I realize that, we don't have a whole lot that we can do back for revenge, retaliation, restoration, correction, justice, if you will. It all looks very grim. It all looks very sad. But keep your faith, and in the real world, actually be based. Again, for the ladies who are listening in, this is not a job for you all. All right, this is for the men listening. Ladies, your job is to stay the hell away from non-whites, as far from them as possible. Not just because it's your job. It's your job for your own life. It's your job for your own survival. And I apologize that I'm having to tell our white ladies to have to live like this in their own white country. But as ashamed as I am to have to say that that's the case right now because of our cucked white men, the sports cucks, the military cucks, the fucking race car cucks, the political cucks, the fucking leftist loon bags, and the MAGA retards. Because of all of them, I'm sorry to say that you're going to have to just stay as far away from non-whites as you possibly can at all times. And even then, that doesn't guarantee that one won't break in your house in the middle of the night and attack you. But it's the best option I can give you right now because I can't make all of our white people uncuck themselves. I'm trying, but I'm just one person. That's why I'm so desperate to encourage and impose on everyone else who tunes into my channel to please do so also. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. Every day, 10,000 more non-whites, 20,000 more non-whites, 5,000 more non-whites, whatever number it is, every day more. Every day, those 10,000 or 20,000 or 15,000 or 5,000 go directly from the airport to start milking off of us. Another tick crawling up your legs that attaches itself to your balls. We cannot allow this to continue on and on and on and on. So it's not enough for you to not only be based online, you need to be that. You need to be telling people every day online that Jews are not Israelites. Every day. But you also need to be based in real life. Tell people in real life that Jews are not Israelites. You can't hit them with anything else before that, because that is the roadblock right there. White people think Jews are the Israelites. And until our people finally understand that that's not true at all, they will remain cucked about the Jews. And as long as they remain cucked about the Jews, they will remain obeying the Jews or the Jews' plans. Whether they wittingly do so because they know it's the plans of the Jews or not. So we don't have a choice. We don't have any options. This is our only option. We have to uncuck our white people as fast as humanly possible. Miraculous speed. God speed. You see me say that to people all the time. I see other folks say that to other pro-white people all the time. God speed. Well, that's the speed we need to be operating at. God speed. Not half throttle, not part throttle, not just touching the pedal, not coasting down the road, not riding the brake, not even covering the brake pedal. We need to be full on the floor, full throttle, pedal smashed totally flat to the floor. A lot of you folks who ever listen in, whoever were WRC, rally car racing fans, World Rally Car Racing, World Rally Championship, whatever. There used to be a very great racer in that named Colin McRae. He died in a helicopter crash, flying a helicopter. I'm pretty sure he was flying it himself because he was also a pilot. And he crashed, and him and his son were killed. But Colin McRae was the world's most badass rally car driver pretty much ever. He was the Tony Hawk of world rally car racing. And his whole thing was he never let off the floor. He literally, as soon as the stage of the rally began, as soon as he took off, he put the pedal on the floor and he never lifted ever. And you can watch because they would put cameras. They actually have cameras in the rally cars under the driver's seat or positioned between the driver's seat and the passenger seat, pointed right at the pedals, a perfect view of the driver's feet as they do their feet work on the pedals, because people were fascinated with watching how the rally car racers use their feet. They have to drive a rally car much different than a person typically would drive a car. And it's because they need to keep the turbo spun up. And so before anti-lag ever was invented, they got used to having to brake boost the cars and keep them revved way high so they would keep making a lot of power from the turbo being spooled up. It's kind of a long, complicated mechanical story. But because of that, most rally car drivers couldn't just keep their car floored all the time. They would have to let off the gas and hit the brakes and shift gears and all this stuff. And so that slows you down every time you let off the gas, every time you hit the brake, and all those things. Well, Colin McRae never did that. Colin McRae would smash his shit to the floor, and it stayed there. And then he used his left foot to modulate the brake pedal, but he kept the gas pedal smashed to the floor until he finished the race. And that's the bottom line, what we have to do. We have to put the pedal to the floor, and we have to not let up. For any reason, we have to just keep it on the floor. Every time you're online on YouTube, you need to be making comments. And make sure the comment, it doesn't have to be exactly about what the people are talking about. Figure out how it pertains to the pro-white situation and apply your comment that way. Or just put Jews are not Israelites. No matter what the subject matter is of the video. But I see a lot of people, I'm not accusing any particular people that view my channel, but I see a lot of pro-white people who have visited my channel. Maybe not visited in the chat, but have left a comment on a video or this or that years ago, a couple of years ago, whatever. And I see some of those names sometimes circling around in the chats of other things and stuff. Other pro-white videos, I'll see them comment on a video. And their comment is so dull, so not pro-white, so not teaching the normies anything. Just some blah comment that didn't even need to be made. The world wasn't changed at all by adding that comment, and it's just pertaining to the exact subject matter of whatever the video was talking about, whatever the YouTuber was talking about. And so no normie white person on earth, or even a white person who is trying to uncuck themselves and trying to learn all the truth, could ever get anything out of that pointless, dumb, dull fucking comment. You know? It's just pointless to leave stupid shit like that. Why bother? Why bother commenting at all if you're just going to put, yeah, I agree, water's wet, or whatever? I mean, that's just pointless. Make sure your comments are teaching our white people something. If you're not going to put Jews or not Israelites, and you're going to put something that has to do with whatever the video is or something, at least make it a lesson for our white people. Turn it into something that, how you can pertain it to something else that's a pro-white message that you can put there to uncuck people. Otherwise, your comment is bullshit and accomplishes nothing at all. Therefore, it shouldn't have even been typed at all. You're only here for a very limited time in your trial. A very extremely limited time in your trial. Okay? And to waste it on stupid shit instead of the real problem at hand. And instead of dealing with the prophecy that is supposed to be our greatness of rising it up. Instead, if you fuck off with bullshit comments on bullshit videos, you're just wasting time. And by the way, you're hosing your own self. Because every hour that goes by, every day that goes by, that you haven't helped us uncuck our people fast enough is another few thousand non-whites that will be attacking white people every day. And when the purge really pops off in 3.5 years, we're going to have millions more of them here. If you haven't helped us uncuck enough of our white people to finally have a rising up before that time comes. We're talking about millions more non-whites by then that white people will have to defeat in battle. All the while, our people are being cucked into being raised into being pussies, into being non-violent, non-aggressive, non-masculine. Shit, by the time half of our boys are adolescent age, they're already wearing a dress, talking like a girl. We can't allow our people to continue getting worse and worse. We just can't do it. We don't have the time. We don't have the people for it. And it wouldn't matter if we did. What if we had 2 billion more white people on the earth? We don't want a single one of them sacrificed to Satan. We don't want a single one of them not making it to God's kingdom. We want everybody to be there. So, for all of this madness that we go through to just piss it all away. I mean, there's no point in you being pro-white. There's no point. There's no point at all. Unless you're going to help. There's just no point. Unless you're going to apply it in real life and you're going to apply it online, there's just no point. You might as well just go be a leftist cuck. Just go be a leftist cuck. Just go play with the Mexicans at the siesta. Go freaking travel to third world countries and piss your money away with them. Go patron the Mexican restaurant near your house because it's closer than where all the white people work and it maybe even is $1 or $2 cheaper. Go buy your fucking Chinese food from the gooks so you can have fucking kitty cat and fucking fingernail in your food. Cooked with sewer oil. Go ahead. Because you're not helping us if you're not helping. So there's no point in being pro-white. You know what I mean? There's just no point. If you're not in the comment section on other channels, uncucking normies, snapping white people out of their stupidity, correcting baby truthers who are saying the wrong shit, blaming the Frankfurt School, or saying Jews are actually Europeans. Netanyahu's actually Polish. When his fucking last name's Milkowski. He's not fucking Polish. He's a fucking Jew from Poland. There are no such thing as Polish Jews. And there's no such thing as a Polish guy that all the Jews of the world would happily allow to be the prime minister for 25 fucking years in the place. Or however long he's been there. It hasn't been that long, but you know what I mean. They wouldn't have had him in America fucking 1,000 times a year for the last 35 years, tricking and commanding and demanding that white people go to war for them over and over and over and over again, unless he's a fucking Jew. Goodness. And we need people correcting the baby truthers just as much as we need people uncucking the normies. We need both. And, we're all busy. But we all have to make time to do it. I realize that what it's like to be busy. There are some days I don't get to make a single comment on YouTube. Because I start so early in the morning and I work all day through the night. And as soon as I get off, I got to go straight to bed and get right back up and go again. And I literally don't even have 5 minutes to sit down and get on YouTube and make comments. I just don't have the time. But there are plenty of our white folks who do have plenty of time. Or they have the day off on a day when I'm busting butt, can't be making any comments. So for each of us who are slammed on certain days, other white people who are pro-white, who are based, are off. And on those off days, of course, you've got things to do. You've got errands to run. You got house chores to do. You might have to work on the car, do some maintenance. Get up early. Get it all done. That way you can get sat down for a little while, for a couple hours, and go through some vids, make some comments here and there. Like and support the pro-white channel's videos that come out that day or whatever live stream. And then, avoid everything else on YouTube. Don't purposely click on anything else. You got to understand, white people need the likes for the algorithm. I realize y'all understand that, but it's really important. It's all we have. It's the only thing we have to communicate, to signal to other white people, hey, this is where all the pro-white people are. Hey, this is where all the pro-white people gather and agree. The cuck normie channels get 200,000 likes sometimes. Well, maybe not that. They'll get 200,000 views and they'll get, 2,500 likes or 12,000 likes. And they don't even say anything that teaches white people shit about setting our destiny in the right path or saving white girls from destruction. Nothing. And because the normies see everybody's giving them a like, they give their like. And because the pro-white person comes along and sees that so many people gave their like, they give their like. But then they'll get on LP's stream, watch his iHypocrite channel all night, kick-ass show, whatever he provides that night, all kinds of good information, ultra-based takes, and at the end they'll bounce out of his video and not leave the like. Or they'll watch the stream for 3 hours and never go, oh shit, let me turn the chat off or close the chat real quick so I can give him his like while the stream's going to try to coax more people to come along. To help perhaps boost it in onto the home page somewhere. Hype the video, Tyler Oliveri's stuff. I hope all y'all downloaded his videos because he got taken down. The Christ Joel video, the other one of the one he just went to in New Jersey. They took his whole channel down, I guess, over it. And go figure. And guess why they got away with it? Guess why they got away with taking his channel down? Guess why they get away with laughing in our face about the Epstein files? Because we won't do shit about it. Why you think freaking what's-his-face standing behind freaking Trump cracks up laughing every time anyone says Epstein files? Ask him about him. He laughs in our face. Because he knows. He knows white people are pussies who won't do shit about it. And he knows half our white people are glad and don't even care. And to be honest, the Epstein files truly can be the thing that brings a lot of lefties to our side. Look at Anna Kasparian. I mean, I don't like her. I don't necessarily want her on our side, but she's a rabid leftist who's now all over the Epstein files shit. Just like, all Whitney Webb and all them other leftist cucks. They're all being helpful, by criticizing to the normies in their case, Anna's case and all them leftist cucks. And this is helpful. Every little bit of Pizzagate, Epstein files attention we can attract, the better. The more we can keep that theme going on YouTube, the better. And I'm not saying that Anna's came to our side or that Whitney Webb has come to our side. What I mean is, by their criticisms to the leftist cucks, it will start breaking the ice for them. They have this solid wall built, and it has no cracks in it. And so, by someone who's basically a very loud mouthpiece for the left cuck side, to be blasting on about the Epstein files, granted they focus mostly only on the Republicans that were there, but they have started admitting that the Clintons were there and that this Democrat was there and that one is there. And that's the crack in the wall of the normies and the leftist cucks that we need. We need that crack to start. And then we can push on the wall and chisel at the wall and hammer at the wall and do all kinds of things at the wall to try to make the crack grow more. But the crack needs to happen first. Otherwise, there's nothing to start growing the crack. There's no crack. So, having these leftists going through the Epstein files is the crack in the leftist wall that we need. And then we can come in afterward and and really help exacerbate the whole thing and force that crack to grow. Remember, a whole lot of people on the pro-white side used to be leftist cucks. Even rabid ones. So, I hope that all of you can just do your best to help. Please, please, please. This is the year, y'all. This is the year. This is year number 1. It starts in a month. And the sooner of a head start and the more momentum we have in our head start, the more speed we build up in this head start before the year begins April 1st, the better. That'll be that much further along that we end up at the end. Remember, it translates to a great distance. When you point at something close by you and you make an adjustment left or right from it, if it's very close to you, the adjustment seems insignificant. But our goal is a long way away. We have a long way to go. And therefore, if our trajectory is off just ever so slightly, if our reckoning is just a little to the left or right from the target we're reaching, we could end up way off, way out somewhere in the wrong direction. We have to stay laser focused straight forward so that as we take on the load of a new normie here, a new leftist cuck there, from the left or the right or wherever, we aren't swayed to the left with their load that they've applied to us on the left, or swayed to the right as they apply the little bit of load from them on our right. We have to stay laser focused straight ahead, and that way as these leftists come to us or a normie righty comes to us and hits us from either side, we can absorb them in and shove them straight down the laser beam along with everybody else. Get them straight in the single file line with everyone else. And also, since we have a long way to go, if we were to just start at a 0 point, right, doing nothing one moment and then the next moment we begin, that momentum to go from 0 to doing and to being full speed is going to take us more time than if we have this 30-day head start where we've got a run started. And now when we hit April 1st, if we really ramp up our speed, ramp up our efforts this 30 days, when April 1st hits, we will already be hauling ass. Now imagine if we do nothing this 30 days, if we don't push hard enough, if we don't really get this ramped up and going, and we try to take off beginning from 0 at April 1st. The other group of us who has got a head start on it will just blow right past that beginning point at April 1st and already be at speed, or at minimum be way faster than 0 and working our way up to nominal speed. So it really matters. It really matters. This 30 days is really going to count. And then this entire year, from April 1st of this year till April 1st of next year, is going to matter more for white people than practically any year after that. Not saying that year 2 and year 3 and then the half year are not going to be important also. But this first year, the first of the 7, is supposed to be white people's great awakening. And because of that, it's going to be the world's great awakening. And that means to who the Jews are not and who we actually are. So, please, pretty please, with sugar on top, I can't encourage and impose it enough. Please help us. In comment sections and in chats and in real life. In real life, y'all. It really matters to do it in real life also. It's not enough to cosplay online. You got to apply it in the real world. And this is for the men only, by the way. But like I said, for the ladies, it's to always be avoiding non-whites for your own safety. So, I have beat that dead horse a really long time, so I will stop on that subject for now. But let me get a device going, and I will fire up the chat and say hello to whoever has stopped by and said anything tonight. Let's see here. Let's get this thing fired up. All right. And we'll get over to the tubes. Oh, goodness. Sorry, I'm tired, y'all. Been up since really early. Okay, there's the stream. Let's click that, dude. And we'll go to the Chizzy chat. Here we go. Okay, let me scroll up to the top. All right. Evan Smith, hello. Happy Sabbath, first noticer of the night. And he said, we must preserve the existence of our people and a future for white children. Boy, isn't that the truth. Stephen Crumley, second noticer of the night. Hello, God bless you. He said, there's a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby in my house right now. Well, how about that? God bless you. My daughter's friend's son's birthday is tomorrow, and they are setting up the stuff for it. We're watching translated painter speeches. Hey, nice. That's a great thing to watch while you got the kids around. Especially when it's translated into English or you can hear it in English. That's great. I love those. God bless whoever did that. And let's see here. Danny Boy has stopped by. Hello, Danny Boy. God bless you. And he said, and happy Sabbath to you. And he said, glad I found your channel last week. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind visit. And you're welcome here every stream. Please do come by every stream if you like. And I have videos too. Obviously, the live streams are in the live selection, but I do have videos. I haven't posted in over a year now, but I have several years of videos that go all the way back 7 years. And all of those have lots of good info for you to learn new things about our Holy Bible and about the who's who in the Holy Bible. And so welcome around. And if I didn't say happy Sabbath to Stephen Crumley, happy Sabbath to you, buddy. Deb of Christ is here. Hello, happy Sabbath to you. And she said, happy early Sabbath, everyone. Well, hello, and thank you for the kind visit. And then Danny Boy and Deb chat a little bit back and forth. And then, let's see, and Danny Boy says he's uploaded some streams to his BitChute channel. Awesome. Awesome, man. That's great. Thank you very much. The more people we can awaken, the better. The faster, the better, you know. Slow Boy Whiteboard has stopped by. Hello. God bless you and happy Sabbath to you. And Godspeed to all of you, by the way, in our quest to preserve our country, restore our people back to God and to please him. And once he's pleased with us, remember, he can remove the non-whites from our country miraculously. And you think I'm exaggerating, but it's totally true. Always remember that God reminds us all the time, I am the God of Israel who led you out of bondage in Egypt. He reminds us of that because we would never have been able to free ourselves from the Egyptians. It would have been impossible. And because we are in an impossible situation now, it will take a miracle of God to restore us back, and we have to put forth the effort first. God is not going to just do it for us. We have to show God that we're fed up and that we're sorry. As a people, we've repented of our mistakes with him, and that we're sorry that we've offended him with our in our unbasedness and all these things. And then once God is satisfactorily pleased with our effort and repentance to him, he will then, and we have to keep his Sabbath. That's the main thing. He says, once you take your foot off my Sabbath, that means quit stepping on it. Quit walking all over it like it's dirt under your feet. once you take your foot off his Sabbath, and not only that, not only do you keep Sabbath, you delight. It says, and delight. It's an and. All right? And delight in my Sabbath. Then I will hear your prayers, and I will save you and heal your land. And I'm paraphrasing, but he does end it with, I'll heal your land. Heal your land means give us time to rebuild our country, to rebuild all the magnificent things we had, to rebuild beautiful Ten Commandments monuments in all of our courthouses and all of our school buildings, to pay to have prayer and the Bible taught in our schools again, to restore all of our statues of our ancestors that did great things for our people, to restore our churches that are all being burned down every day, and different churches being burned down of ours, to restore all of these things back to their original magnificence, to repair, to clean up all the garbage in the ghettos once the non-whites are gone, and restore them back to proper, happy, clean, healthy white neighborhoods, to level all of the apartment complexes and provide each of them a plot of land with a house on it, and we start building our nation back. That's what healing our land means. And what God is saying is, I'll give you the time of peace and tranquility, non-white free, for you to rebuild and restore your countries. And so that is what we, that is our ultimate goal, is to restore our countries, right? So if we do it God's way, we will be successful. If we refuse to do it God's way and try to do it any other way on our own that we think is better, we will fail. We will not succeed. We will absolutely be conquered, continue being conquered. We're already conquered. We will remain conquered, just like we were in Egypt, and it will take a miracle of God to free us. So, I can't stress enough how it's such a big deal, Blue Columbine has stopped by and said hello. God bless you and happy Sabbath to you. Thank you very much for the kind visit. And, and Blue Columbine said that his fingers are healing well. That is great news. God bless you for that. God bless your fingers. And I sure hope they heal up all the way. I hope you get 100% of it back, as far as movement and strength and all the things, and even looks, nobody wants freaky looking fingers. So I hope all restores back for you, man. Deb of Christ said she had said a prayer for your fingers to heal up. That's very kind of you. Thank you, dear. That's very sweet. And I know I skipped a bunch of conversation back here earlier. Slow Boy Whiteboard was talking about he said they're worried about not being able to get loans unless they appeal to demographic replacement. Absolutely true. Remember, the money lenders are the Jews. So if any organization, like an association, like SBA or whatever, you come to them, you try to get a loan. Since the Jews are the lenders, they have it basically arranged where they just won't take you on unless you're a non-white. And they know just by names, they can tell, when they see Ahim, Kahum, Halawadi or whatever, well, they know that's not a white guy, so they're safe to go ahead and lend to. And by safe, I just mean, that it's according to their agenda. And so, and also another thing, that earlier I was itemizing some things that white people are not all the things that white people have to do that non-whites do not have to do in order to have a thriving business of their own here. And of course, by having a business, guess what they get to do with taxes? Write everything off. All the cars they buy, all the jewelry, all the stuff they do. You would think they can't write all that stuff off. They get it to write off every single thing, because at the end of the year, they claim the whole year was a loss. And so there is no profit. So since there's no profit, there's nothing that can't be written off. It's all debt. It all had to be spent to keep the business afloat. And so that's how all businesses operate, by the way. They don't, on paperwork, they all operate as showing a net loss to minimize having to pay anything in. And to be able to pay everything that they bought through the year, to be able to write all those things off. So that's why they set them up with SBAs right away, so that if white people ever came along and went, hey, wait a minute, I found out you motherfuckers don't pay tax or anything, they can say, it's because we're not making any profit, so we don't pay tax. It's all a loss. We lost money. Every year we losing money. And so a smart white person will be like, okay, well then how are you even in business if that's the case? You wouldn't be in business for years and years and years if you're losing money. And so especially if you showed up here with nothing in your hands, which is how they show up. They show up completely broke. They don't come here with money and spend their money to start a business. They show up here completely empty-handed and use all of our tax money to develop everything they end up having. And so, for us to be able to get a loan, one of the other things is that, for us, if we have a business, one of the other rules and restrictions is, especially if we sell food, like these gas stations they all build, or they all buy and start selling, or selling the gas and the products out of. One thing that we're not allowed to do, another thing I should say that we're not allowed to do that they are, is they can go to Costco and they can buy bulk of things from Costco, like cupcakes and all these different things, and they can bring them back to their gas station or their little convenience mart, and they can open all those large family boxes up and take the individually wrapped things out and sell them one at a time. And if you recall, back in the day, before they flooded us with non-whites and started giving the Indians all of these small business loans, every bulk product that had a container filled with lots of prepackaged individual things like cupcakes, Twinkies, candy bars, whatever, every single individual package said not for resale. Not for resale. Every single individual package. You pull one cupcake out of the box of 16 cupcakes for the family, and every individual package would be printed right on it, not for resale. Now, if you'll notice nowadays, most of those packages that are big bulk things like that have the individually wrapped stuff does not say that anymore. Guess why it doesn't say that anymore? Because it's not white people who are buying these places and selling food out of them. Therefore, since it's non-whites now who are doing it, like the Jews want it, they don't want anything getting in the way of the non-whites' business thriving and booming. So they worked it out with all the corporations to take the not for sale off of the prepackaged items, so that the non-whites can now sell the individually wrapped items as its own individual item. So now they can sell you one cupcake it's already wrapped from the factory. They can sell individual cupcakes if they want for basically the price of what two would cost, or almost. And they can, do that with all kinds of things. Now I realize a lot of those stores still have the regular Twinkies package, the regular Hostess cupcakes package with the 2 of each in it and all that stuff. But a lot of places are able, especially the ones that you and I don't go into, gas stations that are set up in like the Indian enclave parts of town, and the Spanish little convenient marts that are set up in the Spanish parts of town, and the black convenient markets that are set up in the black, granted the blacks don't own them, but the Korean, Vietnamese, whatever, food or convenient marts that are set up in the hood, they are all able to do that now because they have purposely taken the not for resale off of so many individually wrapped items. And they removed the not for resale off there so the non-whites could have that advantage of selling individually wrapped items from a family pack from Costco. You or I, we would be fined $10,000 per day per violation. And if they wanted to go crazy on you, they could make each individually wrapped package a violation. You know what I mean? So that's how severe they can punish white men. We'd be charged millions of dollars a day for the 20 pastry items and candy bars that we have bought in bulk from Costco and are trying to resell as individual items. So that's just yet another thing that they get to do to get away with stuff that we don't. But again, like I had said, even though this whole time my Sabbath stream so far has sounded like I've been angry and bitching and the whole thing. And it's really because it's just so critical that we push as hard as we can this year. It's so important, y'all. It's so critical. And I'm just really, really trying to impose on everyone to get out there and get going with it, because this is our big year. This is our year. In fact, we're not going to have a bigger year ever after this one. Year number 2 of Jacob's Trouble and year number 3 of Jacob's Trouble do not have any kind of like momentum things established in them. No landmark, no big thing that's going to supposedly happen in those 2 years. The first year, it says, is where all the action happens. And so for that next 2.5 years, that will be the wake, that will be the aftermath of white people discovering, oh shit, we're the Israelites, and oh shit, the Jews were not all along, they were our enemy, and we were cheering them on and donating to them, and da-da-da. It's going to take 2.5 years for some white people for that to all the way sink in fully. But regardless, when that 3.5 years is up, white people will go into living in utter hell. So you're limited on how much time you have to prepare, and you're limited on how much time you have to help uncuck as many of our white people as possible, so we have as many soldiers on our side when the purge comes as possible. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what all has been in the news this week. I haven't really got to watch the news at all this week. I haven't got to get on YouTube really at all, hardly, since our last stream together, because I've just been too busy. But looking forward to winding down tomorrow and letting tomorrow be a nice mellow day with friends. And I hope that all of you enjoy your Sabbath tomorrow. I hope that y'all, have some kind of nice plans for yourself, or maybe you just want to sit around the house and just rest and relax. Sabbath is for that too. You don't have to get up and go somewhere every Sabbath. You can just relax at home, take a nap, enjoy the restfulness of it. I mean, after all, the name Sabbath means stop, and so that's what God expects us to do. And he doesn't mean stand in place until Sabbath's over and totally freeze in place, but he just means, do what you got to do Sunday through Friday. And on Sabbath, he wants you to come congregate with him. And he wants the rest of his followers to come congregate together and with him. And so it's not a complicated expectation of us. Remember, Christ said his yoke is easy. Isn't it easy to be happy when Sabbath arrives? I mean, it lands on a weekend every time. What's not to love about that? So, I just hope and pray that the Lord's mighty hand will be in front of us as we go, acting as a perfect force field, a perfect shield, as we go further into the belly of the beast and try to bring more and more of our people out of the bottomless pit. And it will not be an easy task, and it will not be 100% successful ever, but we have to try. I mean, the effort is what God's looking for, I'm reminded of, someone who was playing the lottery, and I mentioned to them, the odds of winning. And they said, well, the odds of losing if you don't play are, 100%. So, and of course I already understood that, and everybody does, but when that person cheerfully reminded me of that, I had to acknowledge that that was totally true. And yeah, I just I've been slammed this week. I'm going to be slammed another couple of days, but I may actually be able to do a Talmud Tuesday stream. It won't have to be a Talmud Tuesday. We'll just do a Tuesday stream perhaps. And on that one, we'll do clips again. We'll surf the internet. I have other things to show you. I would have read Revelation tonight, but because I need to shut down the stream in a very short time frame tonight, I want to make the stream short so that I can get to bed at a decent hour. Because of that phenomenon, just for tonight, I'm just not able to go a long stream or any of that tonight. And I wanted to get started early so I'd still be able to give y'all a stream. And but tonight being so short, there's no way I would have been able to read all of Revelation. I would have been able to have read it if I just read it straight through and didn't stop and comment and things along the way. But, it's just not enough time to do it that way. And that's the way I'd prefer, because there's a lot of things in our Holy Bible that, they're meant to throw off the others. And so you got to have a 3-digit, and not only just a 3-digit IQ, but it's got to be on up there a ways in order to be able to explain, understand for one, and then explain what is actually happening. Let me see, I didn't actually scroll all the way down the chat. Let me make sure that someone else hasn't chimed in also that I've missed. Nope, I haven't. Okay, very good, very good, very good. Let's see here. Deb of Christ said, oh no, Slowboy Whiteboard said, every gas station, every dry cleaner. Yes, totally true. They buy all that kind of stuff with their SBA. That's the first thing they'll do is buy a laundromat or gas station or something, Deb of Christ said, I watched a video today about some of our poor white teen girls in Great Britain. God help us. It's terrible for them. It really is. I mean, they're, all of y'all are trapped in an alligator pit as well, but over there, the government is picking up alligators and throwing them on top of the white girls. I mean, it's really crazy how bad that government is over there. I can't believe none of them are dead yet. Let's see here. Blue Columbine said, my parents think I'm too extreme. I told them, if you're trying to melt ice, would you use lukewarm water or scorching hot water? Being moderate as a white these days is basically suicide. Totally true. 100% true. The suicidal empathy that I guess the non-whites expect of us now is just absurd on its face. And I don't know what to say about people who refuse the truth, especially loved ones and stuff, because you show them the evidence plain as day, and then they'll just treat it like it's anecdotal, and like that's just not how things always work. Even though you're showing them plain as day. No, listen, pay attention. Stare very carefully here. Look, this is why this matters. Nope, just in one ear and out the other. All right. What else? Dev of Christ said to Blue Columbine, I agree. I have a family member that goes to church, a family church, that the young girls bring their black boyfriends to. Oh, God. Yuck. And she said, I will not attend that. I'm considered closed-minded. Cool. Let them consider you whatever they want to consider you, because obviously they're the ones fucking up. Blue Columbine said, yeah, my parents told me I can't go to church and also have the beliefs that I do. I understand. Yeah, true, because at church they teach you that Christ is this love everyone cucked hippie, and that non-whites are just as American and just as Israel and just as going to heaven as you are. And it's all horseshit, you know? And so how could you tolerate going to a church that, you know, glazes non-whites and fawns over the Jews at all, you know, at every turn? It's just a huge waste of a real Christian's time. Amazeballs has stopped by. Hello. God bless you, Amazeballs. I'm sorry for your wait if you already bailed before I got to you. I know it was a long time coming before I finally got down here to you. So my apologies if you're already gone. But he said, true. Revelation 12 says that, quote, the earth will help the woman by swallowing up the flood that the dragon was trying to drown her with. End quote. Totally true. Absolutely true. And that is a perfect example. That's a perfect verse to explain it out, like I was saying, that it's not just us. We don't have to do the whole job ourselves, but we have to put so much effort into it that God finally goes, all right, and intervenes a little bit and gives us a huge helping hand, and poof, you know, before you know it, our country starts being restored. Blue Columbine said they took down a statue of Sir Francis Drake in California because he had slaves. Around 2020, yeah, I remember. Around 2020, when everything was in lockdown, changed a bunch of street signs named after him, too. Oh, yeah, that's right. They named, yeah, I remember that. All the street signs and shit named after him. Good grief. They do the same thing with MLK and freaking, what's the other, Rodney King. Oh, Amazeball said, no worries, I'm still here. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Sorry about y'all's wait. I'm sorry for all y'all's wait for sure, but I didn't know how long ago Amazeballs had posted, so I was like, oh, man, you know, he's probably already gone. But thank you for sticking around and hanging out. I appreciate that. I know people are busy. I know it's the weekend. I know people are, you know, shuffling around, trying to hurry up and finish before their Sabbath starts on their side of the country or wherever, but I appreciate you hanging out with us when you could be doing whatever. And that's why, you know, I'm trying to give the proper base takes. You know, our people just, we're so far gone as a people. You know, I realize you and us are not, but our people are so far gone. And this is why, just to explain, and this is only for us to know, okay? This never leaves this chat. This is only between us. Never tell any normie this, because this is an admission, all right? But I'm going to just admit now to y'all that it's true that not all blacks are bad to white people. Perhaps. And perhaps it's true that not all Jews are working against white people. But what you have to understand is they don't belong in our country. And because they don't belong in our country, there is no not all. Because if there were any good ones, they would leave. They would realize, shit, I'm one of the ticks. Shit, I'm one of the parasites. I need to leave these white people's country. I need to get the fuck out of here and go back to my country where I belong. It's unnatural for me to be here. And it's wrong against these white people for me to be here. I'm an invader. I need to get the fuck out of here. That's what a good, quote, not all, a quote, good one would do. But do you ever see that? No. So, because it never happens, and because that's what white people need to happen, this combination proves that they are all against us. And it doesn't matter if they're polite to you. It doesn't matter if they're always nice to white people. They've broken in your fucking house. They know they don't belong here. Even if they were born here, they know they do not belong here. They know they do not belong in the land where the beings created the internet and airplanes and automobiles and skyscrapers. They know they don't belong here. And because they refuse to leave, because they just say, nah, I know I broke into your house. I know I don't belong here, but I'm going to stick around. I don't want to leave. I love having access to white women. I love having all these white people inventions to use as my own. I like driving around in a really expensive car that even the white people can't have because all their money's being given to me by their own government. Who the heck would want to leave this place? So, of course, there might be a black somewhere that would never harm a white person, would never cause a white person a problem. But they still won't go to Africa. They still won't go back to Jamaica. They still won't move to freaking Haiti. They still won't spend their days in Nigeria. No, they stay here where they don't belong, just as you would expect them to. And, that's counterproductive. They're not doing anything except causing us more money, causing us more problems. And say that one particular one would never do anything purposely bad to white people, would never get on benefits of ours, take our tax money, gets a job, pays taxes, even though they don't, because they get all their money given back to them at the end of the year. Did all the things, right? But still stayed in our country where they don't belong. They know they're still here at your expense. Even if they have a job, they know they took that job and that a white person should really be working that job, not them. So, even though it's true, perhaps, that there's a not all out there, they may still just cause a car crash because of their own third world stupidity, which kills a family of white people or kills a nice white person. So, we have to have an all-white country. Okay, we cannot expect our women to know whether this black is okay or this black isn't. They can't look at them and tell. God already color-coded them for you to be able to look at them and tell. If they're non-white, bad. Not supposed to be here. Invader. Danger. Stranger danger. Get away from. And that way, if there was no non-whites in our country, any non-white we ever see in our country, our white women and white girls would immediately know is a threat. But instead, when you've had the Jews teaching our kids for 40 years now, since I was a kid, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a book by its cover. We all bleed red. We're all one human race. We all descend from Adam and Eve. We're all Noah's sons. We're all blah, blah. Bullshit. And because they taught us that garbage for so long, taught our kids that garbage, now we're having to come along 10 years later, 5 years later, 20 years later, and explain to our kids, hey, listen, all that shit you were told all your life, that we're all just the same, yeah, it turns out that was a Jewish lie to hoodwink white people. It's not going to be well received. Most often, it's going to be flat out rejected. And we can't just keep going on this way. We cannot keep going on this way. So, white people are going to have to man up. We're going to have to man up. You know? And we got, the only way we can do it is to uncuck more sports cucks, more military cucks, more freaking politician cucks, more normies. And another thing that a lot of the normies and a lot of the leftist cucks and a lot of the, you know, perhaps the other types would try to, I don't know, try to disagree with you about and use as disagreement. Might be something like, well, I had one in my head and it kind of left my head. Some of their arguments, you know, to try to defend their cuckery are things, you know, that if you try to get them to explain their cuckery out or defend it, their answer to you is never like a valid answer, you know? I've mentioned them before in other streams, but like where like someone will be like, oh, well, we got to pay him as much starting off, even though he's green, even though it took you 20 years of working here to work up to that amount, because the economy is worse now. And then the wages have to come up because of it. And so we're having to pay him what took you 20 years to get there. We're having to pay Jorge to start at that money. Also, Jorge's got 4 kids that he moved here with. So, you know, we got to help him make sure he's got enough money to feed his family. So even if Jorge is polite and smiling and flattering you every day, is Jorge helpful for you to have in your country? No. And he took a job from a white person. So it doesn't matter if they're polite. It doesn't matter if they flatter you. They've broken into your house. Or they, even if they were born here, they know that they have been born in a stable and they're not a horse. So they're like, okay, I'm not a horse. I find myself in this stable. What do I do now? Well, they don't do anything. They stay put because they go, actually, the stable's nice. The horses have made it real nice for themselves here. They got heat. They got AC. They got running water. They got comfortable places. They don't even have to freaking walk anywhere. They can get in a motorized horse and take them somewhere. And as long as I stay in this stable, pretending I'm a horse too, it turns out the horses are stupid and they think I'm a horse too. So they're letting me stay in the stable with them and hang out and eat their hay and drink their water. And they know, non-whites understand that they don't belong in our countries. They know that they are here to take our shit. They know that's why they don't come here and act like, oh, I love America, I love America. No, they fucking come here and they go, oh, I'm Boricua, oh, I'm Mexicano, hey. And the blacks just come here and they don't say shit to anybody. They just get off the plane going, they sitting there staring at white girls getting banged on their phone. And they get off the plane and they go, I'm finding me a white girl right now. There ain't no bragging about where they come from. They just on the hunt as soon as they get off the plane, hunting them a white girl. Smaller, defenseless, the better. So if you're sick of that shit, if you have finally fed up, this is your year to start taking action, not just on YouTube. You got to do that too. But in real life, it's time to stop pussyfooting around. Let the non-whites know that you are on to them, that they are not fooling every white person at the job, that they're not fooling every white person in the neighborhood. They're not fooling every white person at the grocery store, wherever you are. Wherever you end up in a situation or altercation or anything where you're being expected to stand down as a white person because of the brownoids, you fucking let them know. This is my country. One of them tells you stay out of your, mind your business. Bitch, this is my business. Anything happening in this country is my fucking business because it's my country, not yours. So anything you got going on in my fucking house is my business. And this is my fucking house. This whole entire country is my house. I'm a white man. Everything's my business. We have dominion over all the earth and all that's in it, says God. So anything I want to make my business is my fucking business. How about that, brownoid? And you tell people if they try to fucking make you train a non-white or step aside so non-whites can do whatever or have something or whatever, you tell them no. I'm not training replacements. I'm not training fucking non-white invaders. No. You tell them, fuck you. I'm sorry I'm wound up tonight and using a lot of bad words. My apologies. I'm just trying to get us through a tough spell. While we already are down, now we're having to ramp ourselves up as though we've been encouraged, as though we've had a white pill, even though we haven't had one. And so I just want to let y'all know, I do these streams to remind y'all that you're not alone and for y'all to fellowship and see that others agree and see the same thing happening you see. They use the same pair of eyeballs like you use of yours, and they see the plainly obvious stuff that you see. Sorry, I'm just poking something in real quick. All right. And so, you know, and I need it too. I mean, this is for me to be able to see you all and talk to you all and see what's going on in the circles among us. And you know, I get encouragement when I see you all, you know, with your things you talk about and mention. And so, you know, it's just as helpful for me as it is for any of you who might get any kind of encouragement out of it, you know, or any kind of help or blessing from being able to fellowship with others who are like-minded. And, you know, this will only get better and better as more and more of our people become awakened to what's going on. You'll have more and more folks to you know, ventilate to let off steam with. And over time, our pro-white circle will grow to being public, you know, where people can just freely get together again. And that will happen for these 3.5 years. So it's time for us to start pushing really hard so that we can enjoy as much of this 3.5 years being openly pro-white, having openly whites-only events, openly whites-only circumstances, organizations, lobbying. I'm going to demand that we have a white caucus. I'm going to start demanding that we have one for white people. And I'm going to run for Senate this year. I hope a bunch of you do too. And I shown in another stream how to do it in the last stream. And we will discuss that more in other streams. I'll have it set up again on other streams, and we'll go back over it again, review it again, and discuss more nuances about it. But there isn't a lot. It's literally as simple as what I showed you in the last stream. And that puts your name on the ballot, which is all that matters. So, and you're not going to win it first, perhaps. You might lose 3 in a row or whatever, but every 2 years for this next 7, I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm doing it. And I hope and encourage all of you to do it also, this things like this are what will show God that we are literally trying to put the effort forth to even infiltrate our own government again. While it's fully controlled and the whole nine, we're willing to step right into the actual belly of the beast. We was talking about we were in the belly of the beast earlier, but the government's the real belly of the beast. And so for us to all bravely just go after it and go after all the positions at the same time. Remember, there are worthless niggers in your town who are going to be running on the ballot. So why not have your name on there also? Why not have your name there? If some worthless black female who's never had more than a job at freaking Family Dollar for 20 hours a week in her whole life. Now, granted, she doesn't have to pay the money. She doesn't have to do all that shit. All she has to do is turn in a piece of paper to whatever capital of the state she lives in and say she wants to run for Senate and that she's black. And she don't have to say anything else. It could just be a handwritten piece of paper. It looked like a 4-year-old scribbled it. I'm black. Put me on the ballot. My name's Shaniqua Laquan. And they will do it. So for us, yeah, we have to jump a couple of hoops. We got to file our declaration of candidacy, and we have to pay the money to waive the signatures. But that's it, and you have to turn it in by June 16th. And that puts your name on the ballot with the worthless niggers on there, with the Republican that's the incumbent or whatever that isn't going to do shit except lick Israel's balls. Or the Democrat incumbent who is a rabid anti-leftist already, which many white people are probably already sick of. And then there's your name on the top of all of those. Adam Whiteman or Adam Aryan. And just use that as your name because it has both A's in it. It'll put you at the top of the list, whether they try to switch it on you and make the last name be first to put them on the ballot, or whether they use the first names of everyone and put them on the ballot. It puts you at the top of the list no matter what. And it doesn't matter if all of us run as the name Adam Aryan because it's a DBA. It's a doing business as name. That's the name that will be on the ballot. And so you just put that on there. It doesn't matter if 5 other white people in your same state are running for other offices like city commissioner, mayor, governor, and they use that same doing business as name. There can be 7 different white people in a state running for different positions, all named Adam Aryan. And if 2 people ran for the same position using the name Adam Aryan, well, you got 2 selections. That would freak people out. They wouldn't know which one to select if they did want to select one of them. But at least either one they select would be a white person. So I definitely encourage folks to try to run for office. If you don't want to try to run for Senate, run for a local judge position. run for city mayor or run for governor of your state. And do it exactly the way I was mentioning. The only problem is the fees are different for different positions, but governor and lesser ones than that, like judge and things like that, they're going to have less income anyway, so they'll cost less money to run for. Congress is the one that costs huge money. You got to pay a lot to run for that one. It's like $20,000 to waive the signatures. That's a lot. In fact, some states it goes as high as $35,000. So that's a much harder pill to swallow every couple of years to try to run for an office than say a couple of grand, $3,000 or $4,000 is. But expect to lose, but run anyway. Get your name on the ballot anyway, and expect to lose, and don't be brokenhearted when you do lose, but just know that your name is on the ballot now. It was, and you lost that one. No big deal. You have to fail a bunch of times sometimes, but sometimes you'll only fail once or twice, and then wouldn't you know, one of those times you tried ended up working. So, and all it takes is that one time of you getting elected, and boom, you're in the government. You go to D.C. if you ran for senator, you get to go to D.C. and start stirring shit up. And the first thing I'll do if I get to D.C. is I'm going to demand that a white caucus be formed. That's going to be my very first freaking proposal I draft. And I'm going to vote no to every single thing where one red cent is given to a Jew or any non-white at all. The vote will be no. If anything costs us more money, the vote will be no. And by the vote, I just mean my vote will be no. If they want to raise the national debt, my answer will be no. If they want to bring in H-1Bs or any of that garbage, my answer will be no. And if enough of us are in the government, voting, it could actually matter again for once. But it would have to be all white people after the country's fully restored. And, make sure we have no, infiltrating white person who's really not on our side. Once we get rid of all of them, then we can actually trust voting again when it's an all-white world again. But until then, it's the presidential stuff and all that, the most high levels. The Jews actively control all that. They may even actively control all the small local level elections. But we can't operate on that assumption. We need to run for office. We just need to be running for office. But let me see if anybody else has said anything. Oh, Miss Loyal White Knight has stopped by. Hello, dear. God bless you and happy Sabbath to you. And let's see. Her first thing when she showed up and chimed in, she said hello to everyone. But then she said, I'm glad my church is an all-white church. Majority of the congregation is Christian-based and pro-white. Well, that's a miracle. I would love to go to a church like that. Sure wish I had one where I live. And she also put, yes, it has. My brother's best friend is a cop, and he's been patrolling the neighborhood at night. Well, that's very cool. That's very good. And she said, thank you so much. By the grace of God, we're still here. My neighbor is an elder white woman, and she said that she saw spooks on her camera looking at my car that same day. They were walking by smoking. Oh, wow, you had some non-whites some darkies come mess with your house and car, huh? Sorry to hear that. I am very glad to hear you're all right, though. My daughter asked me, are all black people like this? Because if it is, I don't ever want to be around them. I couldn't say much but tell her she shouldn't be around them. Yeah, until they get a little older. But just tell her they're very dangerous. You got to stay away from them. Because they do prey on little white girls, and it's okay for her to know that. In fact, that's the only thing that might save her from being Irina Zarutska, you know? I'll skip her and Deborah Christ chatting back and forth, and then, and Blue Columbine said, people need to shout out their area and link up. Well, we totally can do that once it becomes more mainstream, but for now it's still it's still the Jews infiltrating everywhere and doxing people and all this shit. It's not, our culture hasn't shifted enough yet. We have to cause white people to not give a fuck anymore, and not be trying to dox each other. They're like the rabid lefty ones. We have to basically like dissolve their whole garbage with our culture shift. And so until we can all convince much more white people to start being pro-white online, we've got a really good movement going. I mean, YouTube is really starting to get quite a few pro-whites now, but we're still a drop in the bucket we're a drop in a 100,000 gallon container. We're a drop in a silo compared to what we need. And so that's why I mentioned the sports cucks. I mean, that's millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of our white people that don't agree with us yet. And you got the military cucks. That's millions of guys who don't agree with us yet. We have the cucked Christians. That's tens and tens of millions of white people that don't agree with us yet. And then we have the politicians who will never go along with us. So it's like, we have a lot of ground that we need to make up. And, and even if we had every single white person uncucked starting tomorrow, we'd still have an enormous road ahead of us. But instead, it's way worse than that. So that's why it's so critical for us to be active on, online when we can, and then in real life be actually based, also. But yeah, I hope that we, as a people, come up with better ideas, more solutions, and or things to help us progress along toward our goals. And I, all we can do is hope that the Lord at some point is pleased enough with enough of us in our effort that He will actually just smile down on us and bless us with a victory for our people. But we have to put forth the effort first. He wants to see that we want it bad enough. And once we want it bad enough that we're obeying His way, that we've repented and we've started obeying His way, then He will kick in. He will actually, help us defeat our enemy and drive them out. And then He will give us plenty of time of peace and prosperity so that we can restore our country, heal our land, So I can only hope that more and more and more of our white people every day become awakened and start helping us with the process, but we have a long way to go. But thank God for all of these big name YouTubers who have, finally seen the light and are helping us tremendously, waking up normies, waking up leftist cucks. So, I'm very encouraged just knowing that, so much has been put forth in that realm. And so I am coming up on time that I ought to shut this down so that I can get to bed at a decent hour. Because after I hang up with y'all, I'm still going to have to wind down for a good 20, 30 minutes before I can truly get sleepy enough to go to bed, even though I am tired and I'm yawning. So I am going to shut it down early tonight. I'm going to go ahead and end it now. But I I just wanted to do a short one tonight to at least still give you a Sabbath stream and say hello and give y'all time to fellowship and for me to get to say some things with y'all of encouragement and pressure. I realize, it's more pressure tonight, but it is encouragement. It's just, it's urgent, and that's why it sounds like I'm as being as pressurized with it as I am, instead of it just being friendly, happy, lighthearted, because this is a time crunch. We're in a real time crunch right now, and so it's really critical that we give a shit more than we ever have, and we push more than we ever have, and force our part of the prophecy to come true in this first year of Jacob's trouble. And I just wanted everybody to know that, be reminded every Sabbath, even if I don't get to celebrate with you all, that just remind yourself that it is Sabbath. You need to always remember it, revolve your entire life around it. Days leading up to and days trailing away from Sabbath. Sabbath is the peak. And so, even though it's the end of the week, it's the peak. It's the only important day, and all the other days of the week are just a day leading up to or trailing away from Sabbath. So, that's our number one goal, is waking up our people and keeping God's Sabbath, keeping his other commandments as well. But Sabbath is the one that most white people are breaking. That's the critical one that we're breaking. And so, I hope that just having a stream at all tonight gave some of you a little bit of encouragement. And I realize it wasn't any good news tonight, but that's all right. We've got plenty of good news coming in the future as we push harder and harder and harder, and as more and more white people wake up. And so the good news will come. And we just have to get through certain Sabbaths where there wasn't anything good to talk about that week. And I'm probably completely wrong. We may have actually had a couple of nice, good things happen this week for all I know. And I may just be unaware of those things or just don't remember them now. But, some weeks we just are going to have loss all week, and that's that. In fact, more of those will happen weeks-wise than there won't be happening. So, but we will fight. We will keep at it. We will keep our, just keep our feet on the floor of the pedal. Keep your pedal on the floor and never lift, and just stay going at it, And I hope all of you have a great next 3 days. As soon as I can do a stream, whether it's Tuesday or whatever day, I'll do one with y'all, and I'll have it more set up. I'll have more time that day to get ready or whatever. And so I'll make sure I have like some internet stuff to show y'all. Or, perhaps we'll do the reading of Revelation. But that's coming soon. We will go through Revelation beginning to end soon. And, I hope that all of you are well for the week. And I hope all of you have a wonderful Sabbath tomorrow and tonight. I hope it's restful. I hope it's relaxful. iCandle All has visited. Hello. So is Rooster Cogburn. Hello, Rooster Cogburn. Hello, and God bless you, and happy Sabbath to you. And he said, we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. God bless you for the message. We had another noticer. Evan Smith had mentioned that as well tonight. And iCandle All is here. Hello, God bless you, and happy Sabbath to you. So glad y'all chimed in before the night was over. Thank you very much for y'all's visit and kind words. And iCandle All said there are several you can find all around America easily. Well, yeah, there are some. I just don't have any immediately around where I live. But yes, I know of the Church of Israel, Missouri, and I know about Pastor or Christian American Ministries, whatever the name of their church is. I know about Pastor Rob's church in Arkansas. And there are a couple others around. Unfortunately, I don't think LaPorte Church of Christ is running anymore. Maybe they still are, but Pastor Peters is dead, so I don't know who they'd have running it nowadays. if it's still in operation. But yeah, I do know there are some around, and I sure wish I had one immediately around me. I'd love to start one myself, but I'm just not worthy to be a pastor, you know. And so if we ever did have a worthy guy rise up and do a church around here, I'd happily be a part of the priesthood there, or deacon or whatever, and I'd be there every Sabbath. So if I lived near the Church of Israel, Missouri, I'd be a happy, participating member. So, and God bless all of those churches. I hope all of them thrive and do well. And I know that that's a tall order to ask, considering they're the most, hated thing in America pretty much. But God bless them all. Pastor Jennings and his church, love his stuff. So glad that he still looks like he's back in action after we had that scare about him, his little health scare or whatever. Very glad to hear that he's back, or it seems as though he is, because he's done a couple of videos recently. And I Candle All said there's some in Cali, Arizona, Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Idaho and Louisiana as well. Wow, that's really awesome. That's great to know there's that many around. Gosh, I didn't know there were that many. In that many different states. That's really great. And Miss Little Whitenet said, good night, everyone, and God bless, and make America white again, and white power. God bless you for that, dear, and that's absolutely true. And so I hope all of you have a wonderful night's rest and a wonderful Sabbath tomorrow, and just push for our people as hard as you can this whole year long, starting today, tomorrow. Starting tomorrow or whenever you feel like it. Enjoy your Sabbath and then maybe start Sunday. But starting Sunday, just crank at it. Any day you get, any chance you get, whatever day off you get. If you have Sunday off, or if you have a day off during the week, after you get up early, get your things done you need to do, run around, do your errands and all that. And when you get home, you get a couple hours to yourself, get a little bit of video and comment action in on YouTube or on some other platform. If you have an X account, think of something real good and pro-white to put that won't get you kicked off, but it'll send a good message out to uncut normies. Y'all know the deal. So take care. I can't wait to talk to y'all again. We'll have a much more fun stream coming up on the next one. I'll have some internet stuff for us to watch and whatnot, or we'll read Revelation. We'll do something much more fun. Tonight, I barely made it home in time to get this all up and going so that I could start talking to y'all as soon as I could. And now it's already coming up on time for me to, have to shut down so that I'll naturally get up at a decent hour and be ready to fellowship for the day. So I hope all of you have a wonderful night's rest, a wonderful Sabbath tomorrow. God bless you all, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon, all right? Take care, y'all.